Hello and welcome to the Fedora Files. I'm Gregory Fedora. With me today is Audi, and Mike of Frederick Social, and we're right here. We're on location, which is fun. Because rarely we're starting to get to branch out more and get out of the studio, which I enjoy. So thank you for coming on the show.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for coming out.
So this you gave me a tour before we started, and it's phenomenal. I love it. I love you have 50 different beverages on tap. This place is enormous. It's awesome. So what I want to know first off, what gave you the idea to do this, and explain what exactly is Frederick Social?
You want to try?
Go for it.
Okay. What we want to do is redefine what a cafe is all about. And the idea really came about because we're incredibly social people. We also like to try different type of beverages, and we were really looking for a place that was relaxing. You could hang out. Mike used to work from home a lot, and we've got 2 little kids, and being able to take them somewhere where they could have fun and we could have fun together. That was basically the start of our idea.
And it became a place where you can be part of the community, whether it's part of the beer community or the wine lovers community, cocktails, just a place to socialize with your kids. Especially in the cold weather, it makes it a little bit easier because most things are outdoors. So people come. A lot of people we've had a tremendous response to people being able to bring their kids where their kids can play and hang out, and they can.
Or people with no kids.
Or people with no kids. Absolutely. There's a lot of that.
Well, it's a great. I mean, you're right on Carroll Creek. You're right in the heart of Downtown Frederick, which is phenomenal because you're near the Weinberg, and I think there's another theater just over there. I don't know the name of it.
Spire Art Center, I think.
So you're like a perfect location for if people are waiting for the show or after the show. It's like a great place, and like you said, a great place just to come and hang out. Especially if you're downtown or waiting for a meeting, waiting to go to the courthouse to get married or whatever else happens at the courthouse. But so it's pretty cool. Obviously, I saw when I was looking at your thing, you have some local breweries there. Was that part of your plan, was to bring in local breweries and different organizations like that?
Yeah, I think part of the name itself is Frederick Social. So we really want to promote everything that Frederick does. So whether it's beer, wine, food providers, farmers, even local artists. We're going to have a local artist series where they can kind of showcase their work in our space because people are coming that might not normally have access to it or go search it out, but there's a place where they'll come and they'll be able to experience lots of different things, all of which Frederick does. So we'll always have a good representation of what the local breweries do. And then if you really want to go in depth into what each of them do, you go to the brewery. So we'll have a wide breadth, but the depth will be going to the local producers themselves. Our cocktails are made with McClintock's, their spirits, and it's also with Dragon spirits, and we're also working with 10th Ward. So we really want to promote what everyone's doing. Oh, also Scotty's vodka. Yeah, we're going to have that up probably today or tomorrow. So we're just trying to use our space to be part of the community and kind of help everyone in Frederick that's making cool things.
It's also, Frederick is growing as far as the various types of producers in beer, wine, cocktails, and it's a very unique place.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure everybody knows that. And I mean, we actually learned quite a bit going and trying to figure out what we put on the wall and what is really out there and all those options. And it's mind blowing, within a very small radius. And it's really exciting to be able to offer that to customers, just to get a glimpse of what's really happening in Frederick.
Yeah, it is fun. I've just doing what I do. I've met some wineries, and in my mind, I never even really thought of Maryland as a wine state. You think Virginia, obviously California, but there's a lot of wineries in this area, and there's some good wine. I've had a few, and same with the distilleries. I happened across Dragon Distillery, and then with McClintock, and then so as I'm finding it, it's in my mind, like everyone knows Flying Dog. I mean, they're famous, but they're from here. But like, so I always thought, okay, well, yeah, that's the brewery, but there's others, and they're all over the place, and they have phenomenal beers, and they try and they're experimenting. That's one of the cool things about smaller distillers. They experiment and try things that are like phenomenal, and you're like, whoa, this is really good. And I saw, like I said, like, so you have 50, and it's kind of like the pour at your however much you want. And how does that work with you guys? Because I know other establishments have a similar type of thing, but how at your place, how do you run that?
Yeah, so the majority of the tap wall is actually beers,
Hmm.
just because there's such a wide variety, and there's stuff that you can get here locally, but also we have things from breweries in Wisconsin, up in New England, out in California. So we're really trying to make it a place where you can taste a lot of what Frederick does, but also explore outside of the bounds of Frederick. And so for us, you come and you try an ounce of something. If you don't like it, go on to the next thing, and
Hmm.
you can really it's also kind of like self exploration. You can
Hmm.
find what you like. Like, oh, I don't like this style. Try it a couple times and see if you like it.
Hmm.
I used to not like arugula.
Hmm. But now you do.
Now I do,
Yeah.
because I forced myself. I still can't get myself to like olives though, no matter how much I try.
And coming here, actually having Mike, he's very passionate about beer, and he can hone in on what your flavor profile is,
Hmm.
and can very easily recommend 3 to 5 options on the wall that you would never have tried on your own,
Hmm.
because they're so different from what you're used to. And that's also a little bit about what Frederick Social is about, is kind of getting you to try something that you would never
Yeah.
try. And not feel like you had to commit to an entire pour, or, a 16-ounce glass.
Hmm. Yeah, I like that though, also because you do have the different breweries and distilleries represented. Whereas if you go to their establishment, you're only going to get their stuff. Where here, you can try the others, and then let's say you like McClintock, you can then say, "Well, I'm going to go there and get some, and go buy a bottle,"
Yeah.
or and so it's kind of gives you like, and I love that you have different sized, drink. Like usually, if it's a pour your own, it's like here's your 16-ounce cup,
Yeah.
and then you have to kind of like do an ounce and try it and move where you guys give the different size, so you can actually try the difference.
Plus, I'm more of the beer side of things, and Audie's more of the wine and cocktail side of things. And it's almost unfair to only want to go to breweries, but I only want to go to breweries.
Hmm.
But she wants to go to wineries, and so now we kind of bring that whole experience together, and you can explore both.
Hmm.
If you like wine and your significant other likes beer, have at it.
And
We
you
got
can hang out
options for both.
together.
Yeah.
It's
You can hang
bringing
out.
families together. So,
Yes. Yeah.
so nice.
And it's also kind of meant to be accessible to everyone. So we'll always have a gluten-free or gluten-reduced beer on tap. We have non-alcoholic beer. Our food menu is the same. We try to be very conscientious of allergies, and provide some good vegan options. Where, I say for ease of use vegan, but really just plant-based. We're plant-based. And our food is, I think, one of the larger, plant-based options out there.
Mhm.
Our nachos are killer. We've had people ordering 2 and 3 orders of nachos just for 1 or 2 people, which is insane.
Nice. Well, I've seen some of the pictures on your Instagram because
Yeah.
I started following you and seeing the different food and stuff, and I was like, that looks really good.
I take pride in this.
Yeah.
I am not professionally trained as a chef, but I have a great passion, just like Mike has a great passion for beer, for creating really flavorful food,
Hmm.
and experimenting in ways that doesn't include heavy creams and lots of fat, and to make the food really flavorful.
Hmm.
And so our menu represents that. And it starts off with it can start off very simple, vegan, vegetarian base, and then individuals can add to it, can add protein. We've got great meat you can add to it, or cheese that you can add to it, or sauces. But all of which are designed in such a way that if you have a gluten allergy, or you have a dairy allergy, or a nut allergy, we can deconstruct each dish and ensure that you can find at least 2 to 4 options on the menu for any type of restriction.
See, that's really interesting because it's similar to you like pour your own. It's like kind of make your own. Like you have the base, and then people can either add or take away.
Right.
And
exactly.
a lot of restaurants don't want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Like but
and that's at the core of how we look at our food here.
that's very.
We want this place to feel like an extension of your home, and in your home you can find something that works for you because it's your home. So, same thing here.
So now you had mentioned before we started something about the charities you do. Can you explain what that is? And
yeah, so I think it's as a new business owner, there's so many things that we want to try to do, and being in Frederick and just loving Frederick and wanting to be a big part of this community, we thought it was also really important for us to figure out how we can integrate that into our business. And so the way that we're going about this is one charity a month, so 12 charities a year. We're going to highlight for 30 days at Frederick Social through social media, events here, marketing, various different ways, so that the community that come here or follow us can learn more about those specific charities for that 30-day time slot. But it's also going to be connected to one of our 50 taps. So the more you pour, the more you're donating to that organization.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. So so you're picking so how, if a charity is watching and they want to, how can they contact you about maybe seeing if they can become a charity for you?
Sure. Well, they could go to our website. If they go to frederick-social.com, on the community, there's a section called community. They can go onto that webpage, and there's a form that they can fill out, and that'll get the ball rolling. And it's just a matter of us knowing who they are.
I'll put the link to your website there. And what's your Instagram too as well? Is it just Frederick Social?
It's Frederick.social.
Frederick.social. I'll put both of those. And do you have a Facebook as well?
We do. It's Frederick Social Cafe.
All right. And I'll put all those links, and they can click on them and head there. That's cool. And so how long ago did you start this, and what are your next stages in what you're hoping to go? Because you kind of mentioned some things before about building off of here, and what are you hoping to move next with this?
So this idea has been percolating for 3 years. It started in the summer of 2019. And for obvious reasons, it got pushed off until now. But I think that in the near term, as we look into the next 6 months, we're looking into spring. And for me, spring is about working with some local farmers and starting to plan what they're planting to help us with our menu in the spring and summer. So crop planning is, I think, first and foremost in my mind, and kind of thinking about where we head into spring and the flavor profiles, whether it's beer or our menu, is the short-term plan.
But even shorter term, as you mentioned, we're going to be adding garage doors that'll have access to make it an indoor and outdoor space. And we've already received approval for outdoor seating in a fenced-in area, which means that we'll be allowed to be dog-friendly. We can't have dogs or pets other than service animals inside because we have a full kitchen. But once we have the outdoor space, it'll make it even more accessible to the community for people with their pets to come and hang out. No beer for the dogs, unfortunately, or probably not, unfortunately. But just a place that you can come, whoever your best friend is, and hang out and enjoy. And the creek is always beautiful, so
yes.
It'll be even better for the community, I think.
And we're also going to start planning to do more events. So we talked about all of the local producers that we're partnering with, and some of the farmers. A part of our space is we have a bar. It's a tasting bar essentially, where we're going to start inviting these local partners to have an opportunity to talk more about what they do and their products to our customers, and again, really just hyping up the greatness about what we have here locally, and promoting each other.
And it doesn't have to be downtown Frederick area. So if there are producers breweries or distilleries or farmers that are not in the immediate, downtown Frederick area, we still want to connect with them as well. We're happy to, carry everything in Frederick County. We just need to, figure out how, and it's difficult getting out to visit everyone and explain what we are, who we are, and what we're doing. So
It's a terrible problem.
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah. So, like one of the things that you mentioned, having artists, like I'm assuming like photographers, and would you also, are you going to be bringing in like musical artists from the area as well? Because this will be a great location for.
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. We'll actually have some live music tonight, and we're starting to try to build that out. Usually more of an acoustical thing
Mhm.
as opposed to a whole band. It's, even though it's a large space, it's fairly open, and you can easily. We don't want to be drowning out the conversation.
Conversations. Yeah.
That's part of, what we do. Even our music, it's not like this crazy system that's really loud and hard to talk to each other.
Mhm.
So it's meant to be a very casual environment. So, we're looking for, more of acoustical type musicians, one or two people, not a whole big band necessarily. But, we're open
Yeah.
to anything. Uh, and I think, we're even looking at, can we do some open mic nights, just to allow other people to really kind of showcase their talents,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, and we're also going to look into creating after school art programs.
Mhm.
Between the hours of 3 and 5, something like that, where we can bring in a teacher that maybe does music or drawing or something creative,
Mhm.
for those parents that have those kids at home and it's after school, providing a creative environment for them to hang out as well.
That's very cool. This is, I mean, the whole thing. This is a phenomenal idea, and I love it. And I'm definitely gonna have to bring a lot of people down here because this is way cool. Like I'd heard about it from friends, and they kept telling me I needed to contact you and bring you on, and they're describing it, and I couldn't quite comprehend what they were saying. I mean, they had me at pour your own beer. Like that was like, oh, hey, well, I'm there. But then they were explaining more. I was like, well, I go. So then I contacted you, and I was like, what? But like now that I'm here, I'm like, it is mind blowing. Like just how cool this really is, and
Thank you.
so yeah, yes.
Well, what we haven't talked about, which is what you don't see,
Yes.
is operations.
Yeah.
So, with all of this here, my background is in sustainability,
Mm-hmm.
and it's ingrained in everything I do. And this space is actually, we compost.
Mm-hmm.
Our operations in our kitchen are very efficient, so we've had very, very little food waste.
Mm.
And the technology that we use for the self pour system also reduces the amount of waste from beer being poured through it like a bartender or left in a keg. So, this idea is also incredibly efficient on so many different levels.
Mm, very cool.
And very tech forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome. And so, I just can you just like do like a quick run through of how people would come in? So they'd come in, and then how do you set it up for them to do the self pour and all that?
So they come in, and we would link a credit card, basically start a tab for them to one of the cards that activates the wall.
Okay.
And then we just walk them through the setup of the wall, the different styles of beers and the wines and cocktails that we have. It's also really helpful that the screens provide a lot of the information. You can touch them to find out more. Then they'll bring up some more information about whatever it is you're looking at drinking.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just kind of walk down, grab a glass, and decide what you want to try. Try a taste. If you like it, grab a new glass and try a little more.
Nice.
And find a seat that's comfortable. You like a velvet love seat, velvet love seat it up.
Nice.
You like comfy lounge chairs? Have at it.
Yeah.
The world is your oyster here, so just kind of
Be
figure
close or socially distant.
Yeah. Yeah, and speaking
exactly.
about social distancing in our operations, because we're so invested in on the technology side, we're able to run with fewer people, and so especially given this was the plan before COVID, but given COVID, you have fewer people involved in touching your food. You're getting your own drinks. We have staff that comes in and wipes down all the apparatus that people are using, and then when you pick up your food, you pick it up. So you only have the people in our kitchen really handling your food, and everything's washed and gloved, and so it's a lot cleaner, if you will, in terms of the operations and, the amount of people you're directly exposing yourself to.
That's awesome. Again, I think your timing's great. Like, cause after a year of everyone like hiding out, like they want to get out and they want to be social on Frederick Social. Like people are gonna want. Like now more and more people find out about you. I think you guys are gonna just have people wanting to be here a lot.
Yeah.
And then,
And we specifically space the tables not on top of each other. There's always
Mhm.
room so you can have an intimate or private conversation without having to worry about the people next in the table next to you. Where, when you get up to go to the restroom, you have to decide, do you give them the front or the back? You don't have to do that here.
yeah, how do you pass by?
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot of space, ample space for everyone to kind of feel comfortable.
That's awesome. Yes. And I want to thank you for coming on. I know you guys are busy because you got to get ready for the day. And so thank you for coming in. Those of you listening or watching, come down to Frederick Social. It's perfect location. Parking's right there. They're right near the Weinberg. They're right on Carroll Creek. You are not going to regret coming here. And then get yourself a cocktail and just hang out with your friends and family, or just friends, because sometimes family's stressful. So, but just come and be social and just enjoy it. I am definitely going to be back here. So again, thank you. And thank you all for listening. And as always, stay safe and keep searching.
Check out fedoracrt.com today.